The Bills lose to the Miami Dolphins. We're going to talk about it here in the Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show. Let me get everything out of the way early here. All right, because it is a Buffalo Football Monday. We got a lot to get to, a lot to say, and a lot of calls. But of course, every Buffalo Football Monday is presented by Catholic Health, the right way to care. Brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com. And by Northtown Hyundai, Western New York's premium Hyundai dealership. Shop online at northtownhyundai.com. We will get to sit up, stand down, hey buddy, way later in the show. First big chunk of the show, especially the first full hour. It's about your calls after I give you some thoughts on what happened in South Florida yesterday. 803-0550 is the number to call. I'm just going to say this today, like, you call, you talk today. Like, that you know, we do it every week anyway, and you're always really great about it, and we get a lot of great calls. And I had a lot of people texting me last night saying, I can't believe it, you're going to take these calls, good luck tomorrow, all these calls. No, you guys are great on Monday. Win or lose, I've enjoyed the space we've created here on a Monday to talk about the team and the game and the organization, whatever. And it doesn't mean we have to agree all the time. We can debate, we can discuss, but you know, my job here is to give you the forum, give you the platform. And I always say this, as long as you're respectful and you do it the right way, you can call up and, you know, what we try not to do is just, oh my God, you know, Towering Infernos, you know, versus Super Bowl parades, right? I mean, there's always a space in between. But I think Towering Infernos today probably is what and what I mean by that is like, you're hot and you want fire and brimstone and you want people fired, you want changes and all that. And I get it. And you want to call up and talk about that today, you can do that. You know, but let's try to get to a good spot of, you know, moving forward and what needs to happen, because this football team is in danger right now. They're in danger. And if you want to talk about it on the phone lines, we got it. Or if you want to join us on the YouTube and Twitch stream, we can do that as well. And hello to the bullpen, as always, on a Monday. Thank you very much for joining us at the WGR 550 YouTube page. Got a lot of people in there. Black Cloud AC, James, Steven, Vlad, Tony, Dan, Chudley. Thank you very much. Nick, D-Baz. So I just want to say hi. Darius, all of you. Thank you so much for coming aboard. We've got a great community there. If you want to join in the chat, if you don't want to call, you just want to get in there, we can do that as well. Okay. 30-13. If you would have told me the score of the game, the Buffalo Bills against the Miami Dolphins, was going to be 30-13, I would have said, absolutely, that makes total sense to me. Bills are going to go to Miami. They're going to crush a 2-7 football team that just fired their general manager. They're kind of playing out the season. They have their quarterback calling people out and players-only meetings, and the head coach seems like he's kind of lost at press conferences. This team they're a rudderless ship. They're going nowhere. The Bills are going to go put their foot down. They're going to stop them 30-13. I'll even say this, okay? If you told me the Dolphins would score the first 13 points of the game and the final score would be 30-13, I might actually think the Bills would score 30 straight points and come back and win. That's how confident I would be that the Buffalo Bills would crush the Miami Dolphins on a Sunday afternoon in sunny, hot South Florida. It's not what happened. It's not what happened at all. From the jump, we heard this from players in the locker room, and this is a big issue. Deion Dawkins, Josh Allen, Daquan Jones, Spencer Brown, several players in some form or another said they wanted it more, they played harder than us. Folks, that's unacceptable. It is unacceptable. You can't have that. And I'm actually glad that they said it out loud, because when it comes from your own locker room, when it comes from the leaders on your team, it should mean more to how you to respond. That should be personal to you, to every person in that locker room, including the guys who said it, right? It wasn't even if the Miami Dolphins played harder than the Buffalo Bills, even if the Miami Dolphins wanted it more than the Buffalo Bills, which is terrible to say and think about, and oh my God, I can't believe that in that situation. Even if that's the case, the Buffalo Bills should have still beaten the Miami Dolphins in what they had on the field, talent-wise. And they didn't do that. And they came home, and I did, after a sunny 80-degree day, getting on that airplane and then walking off the plane with the snow and the wind flying at you. And I didn't know. Joe Cali, I did not know I was supposed to put my wipers up so it wasn't a freeze on my windshield when I got back to the airport. But that's what I'm like, why didn't I know that? I couldn't believe it.
It happens sometimes. I wasn't it wasn't supposed to snow as much as it has.
Right.
So I do not fault you on that.
So I'm like 4 hours after the game. It's 80 degrees. Get on the plane. Come back here. Snow. Just fall in. Be careful getting off the ice and walk in. Get to the car. And I'm like, oh my God, I should have put the wipers up. That's adding insult to injury, I guess, right? To think about the state of mind that you're in.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how you kept it together. I would have been in shambles if that happened to me.
Well, I'm trying to keep it together today. That's why I want to hear from you. But, folks, seriously, even if that were the case, the Miami Dolphins played a little harder. They played harder. They wanted it more, whatever. You're still the Buffalo Bills. You have Josh Allen. You're the number one rushing team in the league. They're one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. They are depleted in the secondary. They're giving up big-time, yards per play against the pass. Just go do your thing anyway. And then you walk away from it and go, you know what? We didn't play our best football, but we still won the game. Didn't happen. Now, I'll be the first. I know. I've said this many times, and it's true. And I hope you understand. Like, it is tough. It is tough to always, for 17 straight games, be the most energetic, up for every game, amped up, whatever, on a 1 year basis. And then you go year to year and you win and you win championship, division championships. You get to the playoffs every year, have the success. You get like the success fatigue where it kind of doesn't matter. What do they say about the Chiefs? Well, they only care about the postseason, right? You have this conversation in Kansas City probably a lot. I get all that. But in this situation against that team, that can't happen. It just can't happen. And then if it does happen, you still have enough talent to win, but they didn't. Why? Let's talk about the X's and O's, all right? I'm looking at the official game book right now. Oh, you know what? I can do this on the camera, on the stream. I can show you, actually. This is the official game book. There you go, okay? If you're looking on the stream, this is the offense and defense, starting defense. This is what we get after the game. They put out there that you can find online, too, by the way. But I'm looking at this for a specific example. On defense, the Miami Dolphins started 4 down linemen and 3 linebackers. Okay? There you go. Oh, and you want to zoom in again? I'll show you what I mean. Just so I can get an idea so people can see. There we go. They started 4 down linemen and 3 linebackers. We call that a base defense. Okay. Why am I pointing that out to you? Because right when the game started, okay, I asked Spencer Brown, did the Miami Dolphins do anything different? He said, first play of the game, they come out in base, not in nickel. I said, okay, and I'm thinking about that. The Miami Dolphins made a conscious decision in this game to say we are going to take away what the Buffalo Bills do best. And what the Bills do best is not throw the ball with MVP Josh Allen. What they do the best is run the ball with James Cook. And the Miami Dolphins said, we are going to do whatever we can to make sure you cannot run the ball, because we're not really afraid of you throwing it on us. 3 linebackers, not nickel, not an extra defensive back. In what universe am I living in where the game plan against the Buffalo Bills offense is to force Josh Allen to beat you? And it's not a Josh Allen point. He could be better. He hasn't been great. This passing game is struggling big time. He had the most time to throw in his career yesterday, according to Next Gen Advanced Stats. Now, a lot of that is because he scrambled around a couple of plays, and that bakes into that, but overall. And it still was a struggle to get guys open downfield, for guys to get open downfield. You could tell me all you want. This is on Joe Brady. I'm here for it. That's fine. Everybody deserves blame. Sean McDermott and his staff deserve blame for them not, being ready and prepared. But again, I think that they generally do a very good job of, on a week-to-week basis, being prepared in each game as its own entity. But this week was not that, right? So you can go there. You can blame Joe Brady all you want. That's fine. Scheme this, scheme that. I've said multiple times this morning. I just recorded a podcast, and I said this earlier on with Jeremy, and I'm going to say it again here on the Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show. I am the worst artist in the world. Like, I draw stick figures, okay? Like, literally, if you said, could you draw this? No, I can't do it. I draw stick figures. You could give me and bring to me an incredible painter, an incredible artist, I should say, a teacher, an art teacher, to work with me on a weekly basis. And I don't even think I'm going to get much better. It's just, at some point, as much as you can blame or want to point at Joe Brady, that's fine. It is his job to scheme open. It is the people he is trying to scheme open that have to do it. Right? So it's all baked in there. And then it's up to the quarterback to trust that, to pull the trigger when those guys are open. And all of that is happening. It's not one thing. Defense had a couple struggles yesterday, no doubt, especially late in the game. They were gassed. I'm putting this one more on the offense, even though the defense did give up. Max Harrison got beat by Jalen Waddle deep. He gets beat by Waddle a little bit later. Yes, he had an interception. I do like the way the secondary's coming together. Cole Bishop with another, interception, but they gave up a couple big plays. The run game gave up a couple big plays, but you are not in that position if the offense does their job early. Okay, get to my last point here about all of this, all right? And the roster and the team and where they are. And then I'll get to your phone calls, I promise. I just told you the blueprint is out on the Bills, right? Which is, I think, take away James Cook, dare the passing game to beat us, and they can't do it. I'm also going to say this, and this is on the heels of it. The Buffalo Bills are not built to be able to play a game of catch-up. They're not built to play a game of chase. And Sean McDermott was right when he said that yesterday. He said after the game, we had to chase the game. Yeah, they can't play chase. Do you know what happened against Kansas City? They scored first. They scored early. Kansas City came down, I think, was a tie game maybe? Either way. The Bills were never not at least in control of that game in some respect. They were in control. Miami was in control of this game. The Bills can't play a game where they aren't in control. They were not really in control against Baltimore until they got a couple breaks go their way late in the game, and then they made their points, and they did what they had to do late in the game, and that was nice. And you could say, oh, there it is. And Joe Brady said, hey, we could throw it when we need to throw it. And that happened, all right? But generally, this team is not built to do that. They have to control the game. That's why they try to run the ball the way they do. They try to run the ball so they can control the game and then score by doing that and throwing it when they need to in those situations, and you're getting good down and distance, which they didn't do because first and second down was not good. And they can't. They can't play like that. If the Buccaneers come here next week and they're up 10-0 early, that's a really, really, really bad news for the Bills. In years past, I wouldn't think it as much. If the Bills get up 10-0, it's really good news because they can play by controlling the game. That's what they can do. But they have to do that. They have to be in that position and put themselves in that position. And you don't put yourself in that position when you punt early on fourth down and think that, okay, we'll just play a defensive game and then things come right down and they score. You don't do that when you fumble the ball away, when you throw the ball to the other team. They couldn't. 803-0550 is the number to call here in the Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show. All right, I spoke for about 16 minutes here. Greg in North Carolina is up first. Hi, Greg. Go ahead. You're on WGR.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Really appreciate it on a sad Mafia day. I don't think I felt this bad since the 13-second game, but today's the 50th anniversary of the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. I feel like I'm on that ship. But to get to my point, probably I'm barking up the wrong tree looking for excuses, but all these soft tissue injuries which have been a real drag on our team all year long, how much of that you think falls on the training staff? I mean, these guys are not only supposed to help get the guys recovering from injuries, they're supposed to prepare them for the games and the season. And it just seems like all these soft tissue injuries are something that could have been prevented with the right kind of training, and whether it's preseason, whether the collective bargaining agreement doesn't allow you to have as much practice as you used to. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
Well, obviously, it is an issue, Greg, and it's not, and they're not shying away from it. Sean McDermott I asked Sean McDermott this. I don't know if you were listening Friday. I specifically asked him this question on Friday on this radio show, and he said it's something that they're looking at, and they have to turn over every stone. He addressed it yesterday. You want to ask me how much is on the training staff? Well, obviously, they're the people in charge of that, but again, take care of your body as the right way in the offseason as well before you get back. That could be part of it. I don't know the answer to your specific question, but I agree that it's an issue. The Bills believe it's an issue. Sean McDermott has recognized it's an issue, and they'll have to look at it. And I don't know if there's an answer right now, to be quite honest, and I'm sorry for that. Let's go to Sean, who is in Long Island. Hi, Sean.
Hey, Sal. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good.
All right, so I just have 3 points. If you can just bear with me, I won't be too long here.
Okay.
Number one is when you take a look at what goes on in the field, I've been saying this for a while. Anytime things are not going well, and Josh has that dejected kind of puppy dog look, goes to the end of the bench, sits down, looks at the tablet, talks to the quarterback coach, talks to Trubisky. It's just, man, it was so obvious when Diggs was around. I guess we took it for granted a bit that he was a little bit of the pot stir that was, now that we look back on, needed. I don't think there's anybody on this roster right now, or at least on the offensive side of the ball, that really offers that. I don't know what the answer is for this year to solve that. But for next year, I don't know if it's a player. Maybe it's Dable coming back and drawing up a passing game again that was conducive to Josh's skill set. I don't think Dable is going to be with the Giants next year. Maybe that's a fit for us next year. He's also fiery, if you will, and urgent, and maybe he'll light up the players that he doesn't think are giving it their all. We need more out of that. We need more leadership out of Josh. And I don't mean just getting in people's faces, but it's just, I'm tired of that 1,000-yard stare. That's number one. Number two is I don't think that Bean deserves any sort of credit or any sort of kudos for the effort for the Dolphins or Jets trades. You got to be smarter than that. Anybody that doesn't even work in the front offices of the NFL understands that trading within division is going to be very difficult. And if you were hanging your hat on or hoping that was going to work out, it just didn't make any sense. It's not my job to then tell you, oh, well, what else would he have done? That's his job. Find a match. Start the process earlier in the season so that you're not scrambling at the end to maybe have to throw a Hail Mary at the Dolphins to try to pry away Waddle. So to me, that's an issue. And then third and foremost, possibly the most alarming, is that I think we do overrate this roster. I know they're banged up a bit and stuff, but the contracts that he's given out to pretty average players at an above-average rate as far as their pay is concerned, and the missing of draft picks has really come to a head this year. And my main concern is that this is now the beginning of a 2 to 3 year period where these multiple holes, linebacker, defensive line still, most prominently wide receiver, there's multiple holes in each of those position groups that need to be filled. We're going to have guys leaving next year, guys coming in. We're also going to be in a place, too, where I don't think, the way Josh is playing and everything and the way this season is kind of playing out, it doesn't look like it's that destination anymore. New England looks to be that destination now, the top young QB, the great coach. And you're going to have to maybe overpay somebody to come in here. And that's my fear. You had Josh for a bit where you had some guys like Sanders and Beasley, some other I know Von signed for a big contract. We had players that said, "Oh, a chance to play with Josh. Maybe I'll come a little bit on the cheap there. Great opportunity." Now, we don't have that clout any longer, and Bean should be very much on the hot seat for the construction of the roster. I give him a lot of credit for what he did back in 2017, turning the roster over and getting the picks to acquire Josh, and then building the roster with Diggs, Beasley, Brown. That was he did build a good team there, and that was our shot, I feel like.
Yeah, Sean, I got you, buddy. I want to run, okay? I got a lot of calls on the line. I appreciate your 3 points. I got them all. Thank you so much. No, I appreciate it. The good stuff there, good talk, and I appreciate you laying that all out. Let's go to Steve in Virginia. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Sal. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it.
Hey, so a quick shout-out. Today's the 250th Marine Corps birthday. Just want to say happy birthday to any fellow Marines out there listening today.
Are you a Marine?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Well, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it.
Just wanted questions about the use of Elijah Moore and Curtis Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I know Elijah Moore had over 60 catches, I believe 61, and the year previous he had over 50, I believe 57. And Curtis Samuel, the 2 years with Washington, he had over 60 catches. I'm just curious, is Brady not using these guys right? Because, I looked it up last night. I don't think either guy has 10 receptions, at all each. And we keep hearing about how Curtis Samuel has 4.3 speed. I'm like, are they not being used properly? Why aren't we getting more out of these guys?
It's a good question. Let me look at the snap counts from yesterday again, and if you look at it, wide receiver-wise, hold on, let me give you wide receivers. Khalil Shakir on the field, 45 snaps. Keon Coleman, 42 snaps. Then you get down to Moore at 25 and Shavers at 24 and Samuel at 24. So they're on the field for 35% of the snaps each. It's a good question. I don't know the exact answer, Steve. I'll go back to what I said earlier. Like you can you have certain players with certain skill sets. You can draw up stuff for them. They also have to have the ability to get open. And I think it's always a lot of chicken and egg. So I don't have the answer for you there. You're just as frustrated as a lot of fans, and I appreciate that, and thank you. John is up next. Hi, John.
Hey, Sal, how you doing?
I'm all right. Could be better today, though, on a Monday, for sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm right there with you.
Okay, buddy.
Got a lot of points about the game itself, but I think just because of time, I'll jump to like my main point, which is going to be the hardest one to hear. But, you know, at the end of the day, the Bills are and always have been a poorly run organization. And you look at like the Chiefs or the Rams, and they're drafting well, adding the proper pieces. Or you look at the Patriots, built on winning, won a lot of championships. Now they're running for the 1 seed. And when Diggs left, and you look at that draft class, his frustration kind of came out. They never got a solid number 2 guy behind him, right? You had like Jackson Smith-Njigba, Jordan Addison, Marvin Mims, Rashee Rice. Some of these guys were taken 20 and beyond as far as the pick number, even second round, and just not drafting well enough to keep that roster together. And when they had the success that they had during that time, they didn't know how to progress and direct the team. And now you're kind of falling back. And that's really the main point of that. Their history, I mean, they haven't won anything since 1965. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I don't agree that they are just always a poorly run team. They've won 5 straight division championships, and Kansas City Chiefs have missed on plenty of draft picks lately. Even there's whispers that Xavier Worthy isn't like. So I don't want to go there. But no, if you want to make the point that they've missed on draft picks, sure, that's fair. I don't want to. They've always been a poorly run franchise. It's just not true. It's just not true. You could be upset now and go back at some of the contracts, and all those things are like kind of own entities that you can point to. But they're not. They haven't always been a poorly run franchise. They've actually been a very well run franchise, I think, over the better part of the last 7-8 years. To be honest with you, but no, it doesn't mean you have to win championships, and it doesn't have to equate to good or bad run franchises. I understand that. Kansas City's had their misses too, plenty of them. I don't know. I think the New England Patriots have been a terribly run franchise for like 4 years now, or since Bill Belichick left, I guess, and even before that maybe. And now they're finally starting to get their footing again because they found a quarterback. So either way, thanks a lot for the call. Mike in Denver. Hi, Mike.
Yes, hello. I wanted to talk mainly about 2 things, and that is first of all, is the missed tackles on defense. It reared its ugly head yesterday again. I know the Kansas City game was fairly good when it came to, one-on-one tackling. But if you go back even earlier this season, I remember hearing this about missed tackles, like after the Baltimore game, for instance. And so that's one thing I noticed. I guess Achane had like 110, 111 yards, something after contact. And so that's the first thing I've noticed. And then the second thing is, did it ever occur to Joe Brady that somebody just might take away our second best weapon in James? I just can't imagine how an offensive coordinator couldn't imagine a scenario where the opposing team is going to take away your second best option on offense. I mean, can he ever come up with something other than a wide receiver screen and an over the shoulder pass down the sideline, and maybe a 7 or 8 yard pass to a tight end like Kincaid? I mean, those seem to be our 3 bread and butter plays. And, can you run some bunch formations? I mean, they never run a bunch formation where they can get Samuel or Moore open, and I think that would help. Thank you.
You got it. I'll go back to what I said earlier. I just don't know if you can do that and still rely on them to get open. I mean, maybe. I'm up for anything, though, to be honest with you, Mike. I mean, I think they imagine that scenario. James Cook gets stopped, and what's your alternative? You have Josh freaking Allen. And he threw the ball 40 times. He had 310 yards, but is anybody to say that was a really good passing day? Of course not, right? So no, I'm all for whatever you want to draw up, design, and send into the offices to help out. I just don't know if you have the people to do it, to be honest with you.